This is Al Woods of Woods Recruiting. I want to bring to you some more valuable information. And it is basically, you don't want to play a game of chance with the college recruiting process. Basically, there are millions of high school student athletes who are seniors. Each and every year, their senior year rolls around and they don't have a clue where they're going to college. They don't even have a first choice, a second or third choice of college options. They've entered their senior year with no opportunities at all. And so they're still sitting back and waiting for opportunities to come to them. And those opportunities are not or may not come their way. And that's unfortunate. But that's how the college recruiting process works. Student athletes have to be proactive in this process. You just can't sit back and wait for a college coach to find you. You can't sit back and wait for your high school coach to do something for you. You can't sit back and wait for your club coach to do something for you, because you're going to be waiting a long time. Why risk it? Why risk the process? Why risk it and end up not going to college? Far too many student athletes who had very good talent, good enough grades to get into college, but were overlooked by college programs, and they sat back and waited to the point that they graduated from high school with no college to go to that fall. And so many of these athletes are now, when it happens, I've seen it happen a million times, where they'll try to find a college on their own after graduation. It may be a junior college, maybe they do something with prep school or something, but eventually it all becomes a complete waste of time. It all becomes a disaster. They're playing musical chairs with different college programs, and they can't find anything to satisfy their athletic needs and their educational needs. And it just becomes a disaster where they eventually and potentially drop out and they don't move forward. So we want to avoid that situation. And the best way to avoid it is to be proactive in the recruiting process early in the process. You know, if you know by your junior year at least that you have talent, then that's a critical year. You've got good academic situation going on. You've got talent. You're only going to get better at that point. So you need to start seriously taking a very strong and aggressive approach towards finding a college home, a college opportunity. If you don't, then you're going to, why play that game? It's like you're rolling the dice, and you're going to keep rolling the dice, but then eventually you're going to come up wrong, and you're going to lose. I would think that's not a game for student athletes to want to play. Far too many student athletes and their parents have this want to wait and see attitude when it comes to recruiting. And I can tell you right now that college coaches are not going to wait. They're going to be aggressively recruiting student athletes that they know about. Part of the problem with recruiting is that student athletes, your name is not in enough hands of college programs to make a difference. Not enough college programs know you exist. Not enough college programs have seen you play. Not enough college programs know anything about you. And so you're rushing around in your senior year, going to use the last few available eligible months to try desperately to get your name out there. And it may not work. You're running a serious risk of losing out on the college recruiting process completely and altogether. That's just not something that's healthy, something that you want to do. At least by your junior year, you should be aggressively taking on the recruiting process. So by the time your senior year comes around, you've got a pretty strong idea of your top 2 or 3 schools, or maybe you have a top 10 list of schools that are actively interested in you. Because the longer you wait, chances are you're going to have nothing. You're going to end up with nothing. That's just how it works. So don't play the game of chance with the college recruiting process. That's just not a game you want to ever be involved with. This is Al Woods.
Don't ride clean. If you ride, old, ride slow, candy, paint, Lebanese. Don't ride